What if I told you that one simple drink, something you can make in under 5 minutes, could directly support your arteries, improve blood flow, and help protect you from heart attacks and strokes? Not by masking symptoms, not by forcing numbers down on a lab report, but by targeting one of the true root causes of arterial disease. Let me explain. Most people are told their problem is high cholesterol, or high blood pressure, or genetics. So they're handed a prescription to suppress the number, lower the cholesterol, lower the pressure, thin the blood. But almost no one pauses to ask a much more important question. What actually injured the artery in the first place? Because that's where the real story begins. The real root problem: endothelial damage. Inside every artery is a thin, delicate single-cell lining called the endothelium. It is only one cell layer thick, yet it determines whether your arteries stay flexible or become dangerous. It's not just a passive barrier. It's a living, responsive control center. It regulates blood pressure. It controls clotting signals. It manages immune responses. It decides when to dilate and when to constrict. It releases nitric oxide, the molecule that keeps blood flowing smoothly. When the endothelium is healthy, blood glides across it like silk. When it becomes irritated or damaged by high blood sugar, oxidative stress, smoking, chronic inflammation, or mechanical stress from high pressure, the entire vascular system shifts into defense mode. First comes subtle inflammation, microscopic irritation, tiny disruptions in that smooth inner surface. Then the body attempts repair. Immune cells arrive. Cholesterol particles stick to the injured area. Calcium and structural proteins reinforce the site, not as villains, but as biological patch material. Plaque is not the original crime. It's the bandage placed over a wound that never fully healed. But if the injury keeps happening, day after day, from excess sugar, poor lifestyle, or chronic stress, the repair process never shuts off. The bandage thickens. The wall becomes less flexible. Arteries that once expanded easily now resist movement, and that's when arteries stiffen. That's when blood pressure rises. That's when turbulent blood flow increases clot risk. That's when the danger becomes real. And here's something most people don't realize. Roughly 90% of heart attacks involve a clot. Not just gradual narrowing, not just plaque buildup. A sudden clot that forms on top of an already irritated artery. And clot risk rises sharply when nitric oxide levels fall. Because nitric oxide doesn't just relax blood vessels. It keeps platelets from sticking together. It keeps the vessel lining smooth. It prevents blood from becoming unnecessarily sticky. Nitric oxide, the molecule that keeps arteries young. Nitric oxide is one of the most important signaling molecules for vascular health. It's produced directly by the endothelial cells lining your arteries. When those cells are healthy, nitric oxide is constantly being released in small, steady amounts. It relaxes arteries. It improves circulation. It reduces clot formation. It prevents unnecessary inflammation. It protects against oxidative stress. Think of it as Teflon for your arteries. Blood flows smoothly. Pressure stays regulated. Repair happens quietly and efficiently. But when endothelial cells are damaged by high blood sugar, chronic stress hormones, smoking, poor sleep, or inflammatory diets, nitric oxide production drops, and that's when the shift happens. Arteries constrict. Blood pressure rises. Platelets become more reactive. Inflammation increases. Clot risk escalates. Without adequate nitric oxide, even small plaques become unstable. That instability, not just size, is what makes plaque dangerous. So if we want to truly unclog arteries, we can't just focus on scraping away cholesterol. We need to restore the environment that keeps arteries flexible and stable in the first place. We need to repair endothelial function, increase nitric oxide production and availability, reverse cholesterol transport, reduce inflammation and calcification. Let's talk about how. First, reverse cholesterol transport. Your body already has a built-in cleanup system for removing cholesterol from arteries. It's called reverse cholesterol transport. This is not theoretical. It's a continuous recycling pathway happening inside you right now. HDL, the so-called good cholesterol, acts like a shuttle bus. It travels through the bloodstream, collects excess cholesterol from vessel walls and peripheral tissues, and transports it back to the liver where it can be repackaged, reused, or eliminated through bile. In other words, cholesterol is not garbage. It's recyclable material. The problem isn't cholesterol existing. The problem is when transport breaks down. When HDL function is impaired, cholesterol lingers in injured areas of arteries. Inflammation persists. Plaque stabilizes in the wrong direction. But when reverse transport works efficiently, the body can gradually remove lipid buildup from arterial walls and reduce plaque burden over time. Now here's what strengthens that system. Exercise increases HDL functionality. Not just HDL numbers, but performance. Fasting activates pathways that mobilize stored fats and improve lipid turnover. Low-carb nutrition reduces triglycerides, which improves HDL efficiency. Niacin, vitamin B3, has been shown to enhance HDL-mediated transport in certain contexts. But here's the critical truth most people miss. Excess sugar drives the entire cascade in the wrong direction. Sugar and arterial damage. The average person consumes 50 to 100 teaspoons of sugar per day when you include refined starches. That includes bread, pasta, rice, processed snacks, sweetened drinks. Yet blood sugar often reads normal. How? Because insulin works overtime to clear it. Insulin acts like an emergency response team, rushing glucose out of the bloodstream and into cells. For 15 to 20 years, the pancreas compensates. It secretes more and more insulin to keep blood sugar numbers appearing stable. But behind the scenes, that chronic insulin surge has consequences. High insulin promotes inflammation. It stimulates smooth muscle growth in arterial walls. It increases oxidative stress. It encourages triglyceride production in the liver. Eventually, the pancreas can't keep up. Blood sugar rises. Inflammation increases. Endothelial damage accelerates. Reverse cholesterol transport becomes more efficient. It increases the formation of advanced glycation end products. It stiffens arteries. It thickens vessel walls. It reduces nitric oxide availability. And once nitric oxide drops, the entire vascular environment becomes more hostile. That's why low-carb nutrition can remove up to 40% of liver fat in just 2 weeks. Because when you reduce carbohydrate overload, insulin drops. Inflammation decreases. A drink. Producing measurable vascular relaxation comparable to physical activity, the drink that supports arterial health. The core ingredient is raw cacao powder, high in flavonols. Not processed cocoa, not sugar-loaded chocolate. Raw cacao. Cacao contains powerful polyphenols that stimulate nitric oxide production. In one clinical comparison, cacao consumption improved vasodilation to a degree similar to moderate exercise. Let that sink in. How? Cacao activates endothelial nitric oxide synthase, the enzyme responsible for producing nitric oxide. But let's go one layer deeper. Inside your artery walls, endothelial cells rely on this enzyme system to convert L-arginine into nitric oxide. Cacao flavonols enhance that conversion efficiency. They reduce oxidative stress inside the cell and protect nitric oxide from being rapidly degraded. So it's not just about producing more nitric oxide, it's about preserving it. More nitric oxide, more dilation, better circulation, less stiffness, lower resistance, more efficient oxygen delivery. And here's what makes this powerful. The effects are cumulative. This isn't a one-time spike. Over time, arteries respond better. Endothelial cells become more responsive. Flexibility improves. Vascular tone stabilizes. Endothelial function strengthens. In older adults, daily cacao intake has been shown to reduce arterial stiffness, improve flow-mediated dilation, and shift vascular age markers toward a younger profile within weeks. That means arteries behaving biologically younger. Now let's make it stronger. Add beetroot powder. Beets are rich in dietary nitrates. And here's the key distinction. Unlike cacao, which stimulates nitric oxide production through enzymatic pathways, beetroot provides nitrates that follow a separate nitrite-nitrite-nitric oxide pathway. This pathway is especially useful when endothelial function is impaired. Dietary nitrates are converted by oral bacteria into nitrites. Nitrites are then converted into nitric oxide in the bloodstream. So, cacao turns on the enzyme. Beetroot supplies the substrate. Two different pathways. One shared outcome. Together, you amplify nitric oxide availability from both sides of the system. That means stronger vasodilation, more consistent blood flow, greater resilience under stress. How to prepare it. 1 tablespoon raw organic cacao powder. 1 teaspoon beetroot powder. Warm, not boiling water. Optional. Pinch of sea salt. Supports mineral balance. Optional. Magnesium glycinate powder. Supports vascular relaxation. Enhanced metabolic efficiency. Stir thoroughly. Drink slowly. Drink it in the morning. Ideally separate from caffeine by about 2 hours, since caffeine can temporarily constrict blood vessels and blunt the nitric oxide response. Why this matters beyond the heart. Nitric oxide is not just a heart molecule. Improved nitric oxide benefits. Brain circulation and cognitive clarity. Skin elasticity through improved microcirculation. Exercise performance via better oxygen delivery. Blood pressure stability. When circulation improves, every organ benefits. But remember, no drink can outwork a destructive lifestyle. This is reinforcement, not a replacement. Stack it with movement. Stack it with sunlight. Stack it with metabolic discipline. That's when the transformation becomes measurable. You still need sun exposure, vitamin D and infrared support nitric oxide production at the endothelial level and improve vascular signaling. Nasal breathing naturally increases nitric oxide through the sinuses and improves oxygen delivery efficiency. Magnesium relaxes smooth muscle and vessel walls, regulates electrical stability of the heart, and controls calcium movement. Vitamin K2 activates proteins that shuttle calcium into bones and away from arteries. Movement and fasting activate repair pathways, improve insulin sensitivity, and enhance reverse cholesterol transport. These are not optional add-ons. They are foundational inputs to vascular biology, calcium control, and arterial stiffness. Arteries are not rigid pipes. They are dynamic muscular structures. Magnesium relaxes arteries. Calcium contracts them. Every heartbeat is a balance between these two forces. When magnesium is sufficient, vessels expand smoothly. Blood flows with less resistance. Pressure stays regulated. When magnesium is low, vessels remain partially constricted. Resistance increases. Blood pressure climbs. The heart works harder. Over time, excess calcium can deposit in vessel walls, contributing to stiffness and calcification. Vitamin K2 activates matrix GLA protein, one of the body's key defenders against arterial calcification. Without adequate K2, calcium can drift into soft tissues. With K2, calcium is escorted into bone where it belongs. Polyphenols from cacao add another layer of protection. They neutralize oxidative stress inside endothelial cells, preserving nitric oxide and preventing inflammatory signaling. Magnesium relaxes. K2 directs. Polyphenols protect. Sunlight signals. Movement stimulates. Everything works together. The bigger picture. Arterial disease doesn't start with cholesterol. It starts with dysfunction. It starts with endothelial injury, oxidative stress, overwhelming antioxidant defenses, chronic low-grade inflammation, nitric oxide depletion, excess sugar exposure and metabolic overload. Cholesterol accumulation is downstream. The root is biological imbalance. This drink supports one of the most powerful protective systems your body already has, the nitric oxide pathway. It enhances signaling. It improves flow. It supports repair. It doesn't replace medical care, but it reinforces biology. And when biology is supported consistently and intelligently, the body often moves back toward equilibrium. Try it consistently. Give it time. Track how you feel. Monitor blood pressure trends. Notice changes in warmth of hands and feet. Observe exercise tolerance. And combine it with the fundamentals. Because unclogging arteries isn't about attacking cholesterol. It's about restoring endothelial function, preserving flexibility, and rebuilding resilience from the inside out. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.